So then now let us come down a little and handle this part. I do not like the fact that the content of the container is cute just because the container itself is cute. So what would you do to save yourself from that? Actually, there is a way forward. If you look at your blue container here, you would see that what you have in the blue container is this UL, and you can talk to this UL that, okay, I know your parent is skilled, but I do not want you to be skilled, and there is a way to go around that. Remember, we scaled the blue container in -2 degree, so we now need to scale the contents in +2 degree, and at the end it neutralizes it. So I will now say the blue container, and remember UL is a descendant of the blue container, so I now want to make use of transform once again, but this time around the transform, I will be screening it along Y, but it will now be +2 degree just to neutralize the -2 degree. And you can see that I saved myself away from that skewed. So then what is the next thing that I would like to skewed? Now let us talk about the content. I have 3 contents inside here. The first is the icon followed by the paragraph, the second icon followed by paragraph, the third icon followed by paragraph. The icon first to me does not look like an icon, rather it looks like a picture and it's too big for my liking. So how do I save myself from this? Now if you look at the UL, I have the img in the li followed by a paragraph, and it goes like that. Okay, so at this point in time I want to talk to the li, and so I'm making use of the blue container once again. Then the blue container have UL and it has li that's our descendants. Then the margin top, I'm giving it 3em, and I will hit Ctrl S. So if you hit on Ctrl S to save my job, now I even have more space now on each and every one of these contents. Okay, so now let us talk about the image that is inside the blue container, because if you go back to your index.html, you will see that we have image inside the blue container. That is very easy to adjust. So just say img that is inside the blue container, that's what I want to style, and I am giving it a width of 14%. okay, and I will hit on Ctrl S to save my job. Then if you scroll up just to see, now you can see that the 14% has affected all the images that is there that I want to use as my icon, or the services or the product that you are offering. Okay, so then now let's talk about the blue container URL and child width of 80%. So now let's talk about the gray container, because I think I am done with this for now. And please note that this what we are designing is looking good and fine on the mobile, because we are designing it for mobile first, then we will consider big. Now let us look at how it looks like when it's on big screen. Okay, now you see how it looks like when it's on big screen. This is not what you would really like on a big screen. You will agree with me, you don't like this on a big screen, but you really love it on a small screen. But do not worry, we will continue to design it for mobile, after which we edit it to a large screen, and that is what front-end design is all about. But please let me make something clear to you. You might be thinking that, is this not too worrisome or too tedious for a web application project, most especially when you have a very big project? Well, what I am doing is to teach you how everything fits in together. There are already made designs that you can use, and you may not necessarily need to pass through this whole lot of stress. Okay, and you get your work done quick and fast. But I still need to show you how it is done, so that when you get your hands on a design, which I will be sending you some already made design, which you do not even need to do any type of code. If I send you that, there may be 1 or 2 things you want to change, but just because you do not have the knowledge of CSS and HTML, changing it becomes even more difficult. So don't be thinking that as a web developer you will be doing all of these things every time. No, you can make use of some already designed templates, okay, which will make your job to go fast. But it's always a good thing to have this knowledge so that you can tweak things to your own advantage. And one other thing is, you may decide not to be a full stock web developer, but just a front-end web developer, somebody who will be designing a template that people will be buying, because some people sell templates that they have undergo a lot of stress to design, like what we are doing now. So in that case, if that is you, then you want to spend more time with CSS, and that's the reason why I take it upon myself as a challenge to really let you see how this thing goes. But be rest assured that this is the last project on the front-end design that we are doing. If we are going to be doing anything more, then it will now be back end, which is where we coupled everything together, build our real website and host it, and case close. So I still want to encourage you to be more patient. If everything is looking like repetition, it's just a way to show you that that is how it's done. Okay, so having said that, now let us look at the gray container. I want to believe at this point in time I have done a little bit of justice to the blue container. And if you look at it from here, okay, like the what is it called, the font here looks bold, thick and beautiful compared to our own here. Do not worry, we will undo all of those, okay? But the idea is just to quickly get you on track. Now what else do I want to do? I want to talk about this gray container. So here is another container that we call gray container, and once we are done, then we'll talk about this, then the case closed. So we have just very little more to do. So what is the next thing? We want to design the gray container to look like this, because if you check our own gray container after the blue container, this is not what we are going for. We are going for something that looks like this. So in that case, let's get back to work. But if you check our HTML, now I'm leaving the blue container alone, and if you scroll down, now I'm going to the gray container. So the gray container is a class that you would like to style, okay? So now let us style the gray container. So dots must be preceded because it's a class, then container, then li. Okay, so what would you like to do on the gray container? The very first thing I want to do is to change the background color to gray, and the value, I'm going to be using some hexadecimal value that I have used before, F6, 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 and it's gray. Okay, no wonder we call it gray container. Then I'm introducing you to padding. I want to change after the contents of the gray container, and I am using 4 em for the top, and for the left nothing, and for the bottom 2 em, and for the right it will also be 0, so that's why I'm not putting anything. Okay, so what else do I want to do over here on the gray container? But please note that the gray container is what I want to style and not the li in the gray container. So please let me quickly correct that. So I'm styling the gray container, not the li. So now back to the gray container. Immediately after the padding, I also want to put some margin top on the gray container, and if you check it out, I am putting -3% here. Why the negative sign and why 3? Let's hit Ctrl S to save our work and see the changes. Now check it out. Did you see that we now have a little bit of margin here, margin top here? Okay, and we make it to be -3 on the gray container. But what if you make it to be +3? Did you see? And if you check it out, you would see that there is a little bit of contrast here. This is our gray container, and this is the little bit of 3% margin. So giving it back the negative sign, did you see that you do not even get to see the contrast again? I don't know if you observed that. Let me do it again. When I give it +3%, do you observe the white here? This blue container jumped, the gray container jumped down and leave 3%. Then you can now see this contrast which I do not like. So how would I now save myself from this? I need to shift it up. So if I give it minus 3%, it will shift it up, and this blue will now cover it. No one will know any longer except you and me. So I will hit on Ctrl S to save my job. Then look at it, it looks quit. Alright, so that is that on the gray container. It has the background color, the padding, and the margin top, which fits that little things. Now I would like to style the li inside the gray container, and if you check the gray container, it has this li followed by another li, making two, where the li now have img, the block codes, and the fig captions, which is what we have here with fig captions. Okay, so now let's talk about styling the gray container and the li that is a descendant of the gray container. And the only thing I'm doing on this is merging, and the merging I am giving it for each and every one of the li. For the top it is 0, but for the left is 3%. Okay, and for the bottom, for the bottom is also 0, and that's for each and every one of those li. And I will hit Ctrl S to save my job. Then you won't see much of a difference anyway, but trust me, the changes is there. So then now I want to start still on the gray container. Then the ul is a descendant, the li that is a descendant of the ul. Then I'm making use of a selector here, and what am I selecting? The first child. And what is the first child in this case? Okay, now let's go back to explain the first child. Remember that I'm talking about li. Then the li, this is the first child, the first li, while this is the second. The second is also the last, so you can as well use the last child to control this. Okay, so if I say the first child, that means this will only affect the first li. Okay, and that means the first li, I want to give it margin bottom, and the margin bottom I'm giving it is 2 em, and it's Ctrl S to save my job. Then you can now see the space here compared to before, so it will not affect the second one or the last one, because I'm only styling the first one. Okay, so then I also have figure that I want to style. What is figure? Remember, I make use of figure here, and figure does have img, blah blah blah, all of those inside it. And the only pattern I am giving it is just to make use of merging, and I'm giving it 0, and I'm also making use of padding, and I'm giving it 0 as well. Okay, it's just for the sake of completeness. Without doing it, you still get what you are looking for. Now moving on to the fig caption, and you would see that on the fig caption I want to control the fonts, so I'm using the font weight here, and I'm giving it a value of bold. Okay, then color for the fonts, I'm using some hexadecimal color. Do not forget, all the colors have hexadecimal. You can just choose anyone you like or copy the hexadecimal. So for hexadecimal, I'm using the hash value 00 C2FF, C2FF, and that's the kind of color I'm going for. And if you hit on Ctrl S to save your work, you see the color for the fig caption has changed. Now let's talk about the image. Remember that figure does have image inside it, so you can capitalize on that. Figure have image, because if you have to set image, it will affect all image. But right now I just want to affect the img, the image that is inside figure, and I am giving it a width, or a border radius of 50%. Border radius of 50%. You already know what 50% does give us, something like a cycle, and you can see now turns to a cycle. Okay, so then let's talk about the heading 2 tag, and I'm giving it a margin top of 7%. And over here, where do we make use of heading 2, so that will be so sure what we are affecting? And if I search for heading 2, okay, let's scroll up. Okay, so far so good. We did not make use of heading 2 tag until we get to start your free trial. And if you scroll down here, This is where the heading 2 begins, but I think we would like to give it some margin top so that there will be a little bit of space between this and our gray container. That's the idea. And since that is the only one that had the heading 2 tag, there is no other heading 2 tag. And if you check it out here in your HTML, we just have how many heading 2 tag? We only have one, and that's the reason why I am not using any inheritance on it. So just heading 2 straight away, and I'm giving it margin top of 7% just because I want to shift it down a little. And I'm hitting Ctrl S to save my job. Then you can see now that it has jumped down a little. Okay, so right now I think I am done with the gray container, and I am moving straight down to this other part, the heading 2, then the get started button. Okay, so let's see the get started button in our index.html. You would see that the get started button does have a class of CTA applied to it, and because it is class of CTA, then I will now put .in CTA. That means I want to style the get started button, and look at check the look that I am going for over here. Sorry, please stick it. Okay, let's scroll down. So this is the look I am going for, but right now this is what I have. So learn how to design your button the way you would like. So first I want to introduce the background color, and the background color that I am going for, using this hexadecimal value of 00cc, then 80, and hit Ctrl S to save your job. Now you can see the background color in action, right? So what else? I'm using the width property to adjust the width, and I just want to say that I want to give it a width of 100%. okay, but I want to, like this, I want to say a width of 100%, and if I hit on Ctrl S to save my job, okay, you wouldn't notice any differences at down. There is no problem, but I will definitely come back here. Okay, so let's go down. I am coming back to width, so I'm giving it a display of block. And what does block means to you? Remember when we are starting CSS and HTML, I told you that there are two types of elements. Okay, we have the block elements, we have the inline block element. Block element occupy the entire space, inline block element will occupy only little space so the other can come after it. So Ctrl S to save. So changing the display to block means that I want this to occupy the entire width. But let's assume the width of 100% is not there, and you hit Ctrl S to save your job. It still occupies the entire width, and that's the reason why you can see the background color. But with the help of your width 100%, you know that the button itself occupies not just the background color, the entire width. Okay, but later on you get to see the width. So that's for display inline block. Now I do not like the color of the get started, so I want to change it to white. Then I'm using the FFF, and I will hit Ctrl S so that you see. Now you can see that the color has changed to white. Very good. Then I want to give it a border radius. Border radius, or of course you know what it does by now. And if I use 50%, it will look like a circle. That's not what I want, so I will just use 20 pixels so that it will stay like this on all devices, and I will hit Ctrl S to save my job. Now look at it. Did you see that? Did you observe the curve that is going on here? It was not there before. Let me comment it and hit on Ctrl S. Did you see it was just like this? But with the help of the border radius, Ctrl S to save, you can see the 20 pixel really makes it to look like a cycle. So I'm introducing text decoration. And why? So I'm giving it the value of none, because by default I'm using a tag on this button. Look at it. If you go back here, the CTA, you will see that it's a class, and here have a default behavior of underline. I do not like the underline, and some other design that comes with it. So giving a text decoration of none means that it will remove the underline plus any other design that comes with the anchor tag A. So I will hit Ctrl S to save my job, and you can see that it's gone. Okay, not so bad. Then font size, I now want to increase the fonts, and I am giving it 1.5 EM, and it's Ctrl S to save my job. Then you can see that the font size does increase a little. Okay, then margin, I am giving it a margin, and the value for the top is 3%. I am giving it, and auto for what? For the left. Okay, and for the bottom, I'm giving it 7%, and I will hit Ctrl S to save my job. Now you can see that there is a little bit of space at the top, and there is a lot of space at the bottom, and for the left and right you can see the set to auto. Okay, so then I want to give it a position of relative. It's Ctrl S, you see no big difference. Okay, then I'm giving a Z index of 4, and I'll hit Ctrl S to save my job. You can consider the last two as not so really effective. Okay, or no, without it we still get what we are looking for. Okay, now let's come back to the width of 100%. Actually, I would not like this width of 100%. I would want to minus 1 EM at least from it, but this minus is not allowed in this calculation, is not allowed in CSS. So but to work around it, you can place it in brackets or parentheses and put a function of calc here. Then it will just help you to calculate it, and you can see that one EM has been removed, and that's the reason why it does not start. So that's just another neat trick for you to quickly get. Okay, and you can see now that if you compare it with what we have in, of course there's a little bit of difference, because this one look thick and this one does not. Okay, there's not cause for alarm on that, and I'm introducing padding into it as well, and I'm giving it dots. That's 0.5 EM, and I'm using Ctrl S to save my job, and you can see. So the padding, I already told you what it does, affect the contents and not the entire container. And if you compare it with this, you see we have similar look. That's good. Now I want to believe I'm done with the get started button. So what else do you think I want to do? The footer. So this is the footer, and if you check my index.html, you will of course observe that I have the footer here, and that's the last thing that I want to style. But if you check it again, you will see that the class given to it is footer container, and because it's footer container, I need to create a class over here. It's a class, so you precede it with a dot. So footer dash container, that's what I am styling. Then I'm giving it a width of 100%. I want to be observing the changes, so I need to scroll down, and this is my footer right now. So I'm giving it a width of 100%, and that's the default size. So you may do away with this width of 100% if you choose to. Then giving it a background. Then the background I am giving it, let me just put a color here, an hexadecimal value, and since I already know the value I'm going for is 3D444A 123A. Okay, so that's the kind of color, and I will hit Ctrl S to save my job. Then you can see the color coming down here, so it's not too black. Okay, so what else? The color, I would prefer white on that kind of background, and I will hit Ctrl S just for you to see the changes, and you can see. Okay, then let's continue. Then padding, that is, I want to affect the changes and the content of the container. So 3 EM at the top, and on the left 0. So that means 3 EM at the top and bottom, 0 at the left and right if you use 2. So Ctrl S to save. You see now that we now have 3 EM over there. Okay, So I'm introducing border top right radius, and I am giving it 40 pixel. So the border top right, unlike the one that I use border top left, this one is border top right. And if you hit Ctrl S to save your job, you can see. Then you remember I will need to skew it just as I did on the previous one. So I'm transforming it, then I'm skewing it along y-axis, and I'm using 2 degree, and it's Ctrl S to save. Now you can see that the skew. But of course, you observe the problem once again. It does not only skew the container, but also the content of the container, which I do not like. And for that reason, I will work my way around that. Working my way around that is not a problem. If you head straight back in, I'm still applying style to footer towards to footer dash container. Okay. So one other thing I can do is I could have placed all of this, okay, in a container, so that I can now check what I'm trying to say. I say if I create container, oops, like this, then put all of this here, it would make a lot of sense. Ctrl S, so that if I now come here, I can now say that although I skewed the footer container, but I do not want the container to be skewed, and doing that can be so easy by saying dot footer container, then dot container. That is, I'm talking to only the container that is in the footer container. And once again, the transform property and skew y, and at this point I will now apply -2 degree, and I will hit Ctrl S to save my job. Then you can see that the contents of the container are no longer skewed, because I do some simple addition and subtraction over there, something like that. Okay, then you can see that this one skewed along left, not along right, because I skewed in the positive 2 degree, unlike the other one that I was skewing it in the -2 degree. Let me quickly show you if you have forgotten. If you go straight to the skew that I used on the blue container, you see it was -2 degree. No wonder it was skewing along right hand side. If you scroll up to see, you see it was skewing along right hand side, but this one was skewing along left hand side because I skewed in the positive 2 degree. I hope you get my point. Okay, enough has been said on that. Now if you check what is going on the original design, I have a little bit of curve here. So of course you already know I came up with that curve, so that means I'm going to work a little bit fast on this one to come up with the same thing. So dot footer container, then before, okay, then contents, supplying nothing, then width, given it 40 pixel, height, given it 40 pixel, so that it will be like a square. Then background color, BG color, then I'm giving it the same color with the original. Remember, I'm just creating a copy. Then position, remember I set it to absolute. Then top -30 pixel, then left 0, and the Z index -2. Okay, and I will hit Ctrl S to save my job. Now you can see it here. Okay, no cause for alarm. Now let us look at the after. So dot footer container, after, then we have contents over here, and I'm giving it nothing as usual. Width, we want to give it double as usual, 80 pixel. Height, giving it 80 pixel. Then background color, remember we use white. Then position absolute, and top minus 80 pixel, and left is 0, and border radius we want to set it to 50% to make it look like a cycle. Okay, now I'm going to hit Ctrl S to save my job. Now you can see it. So I have the shape back. Now let us talk about the link here that is not really showing fine. So ul.footer link, footer dash links, that's what I'm styling. So you will now be wondering, what is this that I typed? If you head straight back to ul here, you can see it has a class of footer link. So what I'm saying here is I want to style ul, but not all the ul. It's only the ul that I have footer link as its class. That's what it means. Okay, so over here I'm giving it margin of 0, then auto. That means 0 at the top and bottom, auto at the left and right, and it's a way of centralizing it. Ctrl S to save my job. You can see I still have that kind of default behavior. Then now I want to style the same thing once again, ul dot footer link, then li, then a. That means I want to talk about this a tag here, and I'm giving it display, and the value is going to be inline block. And you know what inline block we do? That means they will occupy only the space they can take, given the other one coming before it a privilege of coming beside it. So Ctrl S to save my job. And so inline block means they only occupy the little space they can occupy. Okay, sorry, okay, I need to do that for the LA and not the anchor tag. Okay, now that's what I mean. You can see they are now on the same line. That's what I mean. But now to style the, what is it called, the a tag, maybe you just want to change the color or some text decoration, so I need to put a here. So now that means I want to talk to the anchor tag that is in there, and I'm giving it a color. So the color I'm giving it, I already know the hexadecimal value for it, so I'm giving it 9D 90 90 90, and I'm hitting Ctrl S to save my job. So if you look at it now, you can see the color for the 90 90 90, so it looks obvious. Then I'm giving it a font size of 0.80 m, and I'm hitting Ctrl S to save my job. You can see it now, it's not so bad. Okay, and okay, so what is that is all, and that is all. So now check what we have. So at this point we are able to get this kind of look that we are going for, but that is not all. There is more. Let me show you that there is more. If you, because this is very good on our mobile but not on the desktop. Remember that if you go to the desktop, you want this to disappear, and you want some items to, let me show you here. If you scroll up on the desktop, look at it on the desktop. This one has been designed for the desktop to look good, and that's what we are going for now. Check our own desktop, check our own that we have done. You will see it's not looking fine on the desktop. That's very bad. So it will be better if it can look like this on the desktop. Okay, so that means everything we have done so far is designing it for the mobile and not considering desktop. Now look at the navigation bar here. Look at how it is well laid out, but check our own. You will not even get a chance to see it, rather you see this. Okay, so what then are we going to do next? Let me quickly point something out to you. If I head straight to my hide mobile, remember I do something pertaining to hide mobile. Let me disable it a moment. Control question mark and Control S to save my job. Now you can see. So if I turn to the desktop area, see what I have. Can you compare it with this? No, you cannot. This is far better. So what is going to be the subject and the topic of my next video is how then do we design for the medium devices and the large devices, because so far so good. All we have done, let me comment it back, all we have done is designing this for the mobile devices and it looks good and fine. Okay, and if you click on this hamburger design, it's not doing anything aside now. It's supposed to show something like this. Let me show you. So JavaScript is going on here, so we still need to handle the part for JavaScript, and we still need to handle the part for medium devices and large devices. But so far so good. We have just completed designing our web for mobile, so we now need to design it for medium devices like a tab, and also for larger devices like a laptop or even desktop. I hope you understand my point. So at this point I'm going to leave and I'm going to end the video at this point, and you should be expecting in my next video how to take up your design to the medium and the larger devices and attach some JavaScript to it such that the menu can stay active when they click on it. So once again, I really want to thank you for staying up to the end of this lecture, and please do not hesitate to always get back to me on any part that is not clear to you. Thank you.